My name is Mark Pratt. I'm part of Metro Publisher. Actually, the company's name is Vanguardistas, and Metro Publisher is our first cloud system designed specifically for publishers. It's used all over the world now, essentially. But what I want to show you are three different things. So this is Virginia Living. It's an example of a regional publisher in the United States. And since you're in broadcast, I thought this might be a good example for you. This is actually not a publisher, this is a broadcaster called Plum TV. So almost all the content that they publish with our platform is video. And then for contrast, here's an international magazine. It's an English language publication in Barcelona, Spain called Barcelona Metropolitan. And what they all have in common is instead of them going out and hiring their own developers and managing essentially technical talent and kind of going down the road of becoming software companies by accident, they've chosen to sign up with Metro Publisher. And what Metro Publisher means is it's a cloud service, so there are no setup fees or sign-up costs of any kind. It's pay as you go. There's no long-term contracts. And we have two tiers. The first tier is used by, I would say, something like 95% of all of our clients. So it's $149 a month. And yes, US dollars, absolutely, yes, not Australian. There's a couple of things that I need to point out here beyond the price. What's so major about this is that this is an alternative that simply didn't exist before. In the past, you would have had to basically have a game plan of what it is that you want to build. You would have to go then and hire these technology people to make that happen. And anytime that someone signs up with Metro Publisher, as long as it's before we have like a noon Eastern US cutoff time, you will be in that system right away. You can immediately then go in and the designers can start working on the design independently of the content people. Our fees include hosting. So literally what we're trying to deliver to publishers is absolute rapid time to market and predictable costs. And on top of that, because we're able to do that worldwide at an incredibly low price point. So let's go take a look at, in addition to Metro Publisher being a lovely system, this is something I sometimes forget to point out. We have extensive resources available to all of our clients. Documents like, for example, the roadmap for a successful launch, which you can literally follow sequentially or available a la carte. We have an extensive library of on-demand videos, which will explain anyone within your team how to do things. So this is valuable not just actually from a launch perspective, but also any publisher will have a little bit of turnover. Maybe they have interns, and so this enables someone who comes on board, fresh and new, to basically go in here and strategically then learn the skills that they need to. So we cover all of Metro Publisher, obviously, and we also cover kind of the basics of DoubleClick for Publishers, small business, which is a cloud-based service by Google. And a lot of people get confused when they think AdSense, AdWords. That's not what we're talking about here. This is a service by Google that's designed for you to control advertising that you've sold. It's free as long as you serve less than 90 million ad impressions per month. And that's so high that I'm essentially going to say it's free. 90 million ad impressions per month.
Should be okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, that's a lot. So you would use DFP, in other words, to create your insertion orders, upload the banners for your advertisers. You can also plug in other third-party ad networks. You're not required at any point to use AdSense. And so we teach you the basics of what an ad server is, how to set it up with Metro Publisher, which, by the way, is like minutes versus typically, I would say, goes in the direction of 2 days of really boring work. So instead of spending 2 days, it's like 15 seconds or at worst case, like 5 minutes. Watch the video and follow the instructions. And then we have videos on insertion orders and stuff. So great support resources available. You can also, of course, ask questions, and our support team will help you. When I'm working in Metro Publisher, so I'm going to show you the standard tier, the least expensive version of Metro Publisher, which is used by, as I mentioned, something like 95% of our clients. And the idea behind this tier is that you don't need to know any HTML, have any CSS skills or of any kind. So you're basically working off of templates. So it's very straightforward. Here's a design that kind of has like a traditional square type of layout. Let me instead go to one that is, let's say, has more rounded corners. So Metro Publisher is going to load in this other design, and now I can start to work off palettes. And if I don't like the palette that's chosen, I can then further go in and override the individual colors. So in other words, anybody who knows Photoshop or any kind of image manipulation tools is going to be perfectly comfortable using this to go in and set your design. And of course, you can change your logo here at the top just by clicking this button. It'll select, a file off your hard drive. If you don't know how that works, again, we have this awesome support site. And let me just search on theme. And so we have this document called the Theme Gallery, which again features a video and step-by-step instructions, including exact dimensions for what the images need to be. So yeah, so this is kind of like I'm just basically showing you setup. What I want to show you instead is how easy it is to create content. So let me show you what an article looks like. It's straightforward. It's like any CMS really, except for we've tried to simplify things a bit. You have your art, you have your title, your description. And then you have your what you see is what you get editor, where you copy and paste any text. You can attach slideshows, you can attach videos, and then there's a bunch of features that are uniquely designed for publishers and broadcasters. People who need to build audience, like for example this very simple Monday to Sunday system that lets me plan out an entire week in advance. What I want my homepage to look like. So my homepage can constantly be changing without me having to go in and make those changes. So I can, for example, move around stories and change the order, delete certain stories, pull in different stories. And then what's also really cool about Metro Publisher is we do everything but the digital edition in essence. You can publish an article or a piece of content once and then push that out to your Facebook fan page, as well as also have that flow into newsletters. So right next to me is a company called Contactology, and they have a very powerful newsletter system. And I can set the integration with Metro Publisher just by copying and pasting in a key. Still recording? Okay.
Sorry, you're saying.
And so, but the point is these two systems are now in sync. They're working seamlessly together. And so up here you have this counter, and it's telling me that in 1 day and 7 hours, whatever is showing up here will basically go out to this list. Now, we've done a lot of research about this, and we found out that publishers were spending somewhere between 4 to 20 hours actually creating newsletter content. The average number we were coming up with was more like 6 hours. On the other extreme, we actually found publishers who were fully automating it. The problem with full automation is you're essentially giving up all control. So we wanted to deliver a system that was the best of both worlds. So what you see here are these different parts, and they're fully configurable. You can move them around just by dragging and dropping. So now, for example, this ad is here at the bottom. And let's say I want this to be even above the blogs, I just keep on dragging it. So I can have as many of these parts as I want, but the real innovation here is that I can teach Metro Publisher rules. So this part here, latest musings from Jane Doe, is set to automatically pull in the most recent 5 of any kind of content, as long as it was written by Jane Doe. But I could apply any tag. It could be about any subject, like for example, let's say we're talking about something like broadcast. It might be editing suites, in which case, as long as I had the production schedule in place and I had a clear idea what the frequency of my newsletters would be, I would have the content constantly being published on my site, and now I can have this automatically then feed into those newsletters. So I can create super niche, super topic-oriented newsletters in a fraction of the time of what it would normally take, because by defining these rules, it's essentially happening for me automatically, and as an editor, I see the results. And if I'm happy with the results, I do nothing. In fact, if I'm not around, it will still go out, because at this time, Contactologists can come by, pick up this content, and automatically send it out. And of course, this is what the actual newsletter would look like. This is a preview of that newsletter.